Hey, deserving listeners, 90 Day Fiancé. Let's watch.
Hey, where are you? Can I stay at your place? So Ed thought that I was hooking up with a girl. And Ed and I started fighting over that. It sucks that he doesn't believe me.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good summary. She's now going to stay with a friend, so I'm glad that she's able to get out of the house. She's still suffering, which makes sense.
Threw my ring in some random person's yard, and now I'm gonna go back and look for it.
Okay, yeah, I mean, it's probably best, honestly. You don't want to get entangled around this ring. It's just easier, go look for it, find it, give it back to him, say, no thank you, and maybe break up for good.
I just want to find the ring and give it back to Ed, and I don't think I can do this anymore.
I want to go back to look for the ring because at this point, even though it doesn't mean anything to me, I still know Ed dropped an enormous amount of money, and I would like to give it back to him because he told me we're never going to get married.
Yeah, it's the right thing to do. Two wrongs don't make a right. She is upset at him. I think a lot of people would say that she is entitled to throw the ring away for sure. But, I don't think that we need to lower ourselves in situations like that. We can impulsively do something, go back, get it, hand it to him, say, let's just end this, and we're no longer entangled. Let me clear out my stuff, and we can say goodbye.
I don't know if this ring will ever have meaning again.
It's interesting. I keep looking for clues as to whether or not they're still together. And maybe y'all know, I don't. I don't try to find spoiler information. And please don't ever send it to me because I don't want it spoiled. But, those interviews are happening much later, perhaps after the season has been filmed. And so I'm trying to listen for, she says, I don't think that ring will ever have the same meaning to me or something. Let's rewind that.
Enormous amount of money. And I would like to give it back to him because he told me we're never going to get married. And I don't know if this ring will ever have meaning again.
Yeah, so they edited it. I didn't notice it the first time. They took something out there. So who knows what is, I can't tell what's really happening and if they stay together or not. And I'm not opposed to them. Of course, it doesn't matter what I think, but I wouldn't be aghast if they got back together. If they went to couple therapy, then I would have some hope. But otherwise, I'm guessing they would have the same fight over and over and over again. You probably want to ask the owners, have they done that already? Doesn't look like it. You shouldn't climb over someone's fence, especially in today's environment. Someone could come out with a gun and feel justified in shooting you. So yeah, you should probably, knock on the door. Plus they could help. Wow, I mean, when she said she threw it, I thought she had just flung it into the wilderness, but it looks like she just dropped it, knew exactly where it was. Looks like she found it. I was like, wow.
You found it?
You nailed it back.
Okay, so I guess she should probably go somewhere else and mail it or something. Talking to him tonight probably wouldn't be very productive. At least that, if I were her friend, that's what unless she really wants to talk to him.
I know that Ed will have a hard time finding true love. just really wanted that. I really wanted to be that person to show him that.
Yeah, it's nice of her. It's altruistic, but it is interesting that this is where she's going after the way she's been treated all night. I don't know if I'm understanding the situation right, but the way it looks is the way I've been talking about it in terms of him being very easily triggered regarding his jealousy and his worry of being abandoned, and then he locks in on a narrative and a style of trying to manage it, which comes across as abusive, at least on the TV show. Starts accusing her of things, starts to belittle her. He's very sure of himself. He's coming at her from various different angles and showing no remorse, showing no empathy. She's crying. She's saying, I'm not a lesbian. I didn't have an affair. What more do you want me to say? And he's just like, well, I don't know, and da-da-da. So it's interesting, though, that she is still wanting to be nice to him. And I don't know, there's nothing wrong with being nice to someone. I'm sure to the audience, it's like, what? Why are you thinking that right now? Why aren't you thinking about yourself? It's hard to know. Maybe she's having a wide variety of feelings. Having said that, I think it's absolutely possible that Liz comes from a traumatic background and feels as though she either doesn't deserve love or doesn't deserve to even have herself take care of herself, because that is a dimension that we all want to take notice of, something that we develop in a secure attachment relationship. We learn that we matter, and that not only that we matter to others, but we can now matter to ourselves, and we can honor ourselves or value our own emotions and our own reactivity, which what she's saying right now, she's valuing his suffering right now, which isn't a horrible thing, but could be an indication that she's not valuing her own, and or she doesn't have a connection with herself. She doesn't even really know what she's feeling. She's feeling a lot of feelings, and she's crying and she's upset, but she doesn't really have a firm connection on him, so she starts to go to her normal way of thinking. Another part of this, possibly, I don't know. So let me just talk about people in general. People who are being abused, not everyone, what do you call it? Someone who is overly dependent personality disorder. Sometimes people refer to these people as codependent, but that's not the correct term for it. These individuals are very dependent on other people, not only in some very practical ways, like they need others to drive them around or pay the bills or do the talking for them, but also a lot of emotional dependence, meaning that they need the other person to approve of them and to like them and to give them direction, give them meaning. And these individuals can be very susceptible to an abusive individual for obvious reasons, right? And so when these individuals will threaten to leave, or as they're leaving, or maybe even full on leave and separate, their dependence is still there. They still absolutely need someone to fill the void because of what they went through when they were young. And they don't think that they're worth it. They don't think that they're worth being by themselves. And so these notions of just like, well, you deserve to be on your own, take a break for a while from relationships. It's possible that if you strip away the abusive person and sometimes the victim is so isolated from the world that they don't really have strong relationships outside of the abusive relationship. And so you strip away the abusive relationship and they're left with nothing, and they need something to fill the void. And they might find another abusive person, they might find some other destructive thing, or they might go back to the abuser because they feel worse when they're by themselves than when they're with someone but being abused. Not every victim is like that. Not every victim who goes back to their abuser is like that, of course, but it wouldn't surprise me if we're somewhere in that zone with her, given the way that she's acted and given the way that she's talking right now.
This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Unfortunately, life doesn't come with a user manual. Navigating all the various challenges we face can make you feel unsure or stuck in place, whether it's a relationship or going through grief or considering a new career. And, generally speaking, a therapist can really help with that by helping you to explore your feelings and by giving you the space to clarify what you want to do. In my life, I can't imagine where I'd be without the therapy I've had. During some of the biggest moments of my life, therapists have been there for me, to slow me down, to listen to me, to help me explore. Well, that's where BetterHelp comes in. As the world's largest therapy service, BetterHelp has matched 3 million people with professionally licensed and vetted therapists available 100% online. Plus, it's affordable. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to match with a therapist. If things aren't clicking, you can easily switch to a new therapist anytime. It couldn't be simpler. No waiting rooms, no traffic, no endless searching for the right therapist. Learn more and save 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/Kirk. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Kirk.
And so the solution is long-term therapy, because with long-term therapy, with someone that understands dependent personality disorder, the dependence can be on the therapist. And as long as the therapist is ethical, which in all likelihood they are, the therapist will be that strong attachment, but it will be non-exploitative and non-abusive, right? And it will be helpful. The therapist will actually be a transition object to other healthy relationships, and the therapist can be there to help guide around that. And you might even need 2 or 3 sessions a week at first to fill that void, to fill the void of attachment. Now, best case scenario, these individuals have family members, friends, these sorts of individuals who they can bond with and depend on as transitional objects so that they can eventually get back on their feet. But if they don't have that, then therapy is your best bet usually. In addition, depending on family, obviously long-term therapy is necessary for dependent personality disorder. And for more information, listen to my deep dives available to patrons on passive-aggressive personality disorder and dependent personality disorder.
I'm pissed, I'm hurt. I felt that I was cheating on him with her.
This is like stupid though. It really is. Liz, I'm done with you letting him walk all over you. I really am. You deserve so much better. You're a badass bitch.
I just don't feel like he walks all over me
I do. I'm sorry. I do feel that way.
Yeah, and maybe this is the best sort of triangulation that the friend could engage in, but generally speaking, it's more helpful to be more tentative and to be empathic and say, yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, from my perspective, it kind of looks this way, but I don't know. What do you think? When in doubt, listen, reflect, validate, be with someone, be real, be authentic, but don't drive home an agenda, particularly with people who are potentially dependent, because they could feel dependent on you, which might not be a great thing, right? You want to prop them up because dependent people believe they can't do things on their own. So if you really want to help them, you want to resist the urge to tell them what to do and instead help prop them up and say well, I don't know, you're a smart, if I were her, I'd be like, well, I don't know, you're a smart person. What do you think? So you're telling me that you think the relationship could work out, or I don't know, what do you think? And I would really try to live in that space. And that is the treatment model for these individuals, long-term therapy. One of 100 things that you do with these individuals, but that is one of the main themes, because it's very tempting with dependent individuals, with underfunctioners, to be sucked in, because they will suck you in to taking care of them and to telling them what to do. But ultimately, they don't really want that. They actually are secretly wanting you to say, you can do this. I'm with you. I'm in contact with you and I care about you, but I'm not going to tell you what to do because I know that you're competent enough.
Tonight was supposed to be the night that we proved our love, and it's a joke. In this moment, I would rather be single. I intended on being single for a while, and things just happened with Ed. And after everything tonight, I'm starting to second guess being in this relationship.
See, you know what I mean? Starting to second guess. this interview happens after the season. So when she says phrases like that, it makes me think that they're still in a relationship. I don't know. Or starting to second guess. This is how much, who knows how many times they've broke. So this is the 9th time. And if the other breakups were similar to this, which I think they were, if not worse, I mean, that one telephone call that we heard that she recorded and someone leaked was, wow. I mean, it's just awful, right?
If Ed and I break up over this, I definitely think that it's over for good. I really don't know where we go from here.
Yeah, I'm just going to take a guess and say that if I'm a little frustrated with this and I'm used to this kind of presentation, that it would be very frustrating for everyone out there. In fact, I don't know, but I think I did pick up on a theme of people actually hating her. In fact, I often find that it's sort of the default attitude towards every cast member that everyone hates everyone except for Kenny and Armando. Everyone, or, you know, there's certain children like Daniel, Tiffany's kid Daniel, is that his name? Of course, no one would hate him, but I feel like everyone hates everyone. And I don't know. I feel like for Liz, there's really no viable reason to have any kind of hostility towards her. Really, there's no reason to have outward hostility towards any of these individuals, I don't think. But I wonder if the frustration of watching her seemingly shoot herself in the foot, and of course she has a kid, so people might have empathy for the child. Who knows what's happening there? But we can't imagine that this isn't necessarily affecting them. Meaning that I think all of us could imagine that all of this would be affecting that child. The other thing that she said was, I intended on remaining single, but me and Ed just happened. And the thing that I would say to her if I were a friend is like, yeah, it's great, but until you go to long-term therapy, there's not going to be a good chance that you're going to be able to withstand the invitations into toxicity. From my understanding, she's been through a lot of toxic and potentially full-on abusive relationships. I don't know if I've said this before, but there's a possibility that her past relationships were, in her mind, more abusive, that there were physical altercations and she was beaten. And so with Ed, it's possible that she's like, well, this isn't abusive because he's not hitting me, when she is seemingly experiencing a lot of verbal and emotional abuse. And so to her, she's just like, well, this is the best relationship I've ever been in. So I should give it a chance. Whereas for other people looking at the relationship, they would say, this is not okay. This is way outside what you deserve. Okay, well, that does it for that episode. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.